We are live on the Rome Show podcast. I'm your host, Go Rome. I got a special guest, Kat. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Rome?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. I know you've been crazy busy. The media life is busy.
That it is.
So for the people on my platform that don't know, um, what made you get started? How'd you get started? Where you from?
So I'm born and raised in Minnesota. My parents are from Panama, and I grew up as kind of being able to do everything that I loved. I was a figure skater. I was in music. I did drama. I did the newspaper at school, and went to college in Minnesota at St. Olaf. And when I graduated, I was really lucky. I got a internship. It was actually a fellowship that NAACP ran at the local TV station there, WCCO. And that kind of started my real love of journalism. And I've kind of been in that ever since. I've worked in local for many years. And then I made the big move to New York City and got a job at ABC News and was there for a couple decades doing everything from Good Morning America to primetime specials, special called Soul of a Nation, which deal with people of color and culture and celebrating kind of their heritage months. And then I left there and I started my own company called CatMac Global Media. And we do everything from documentaries to branded content to independent features and some live events. So I do a little bit of everything.
Wow, that's amazing. And I run this by myself, so I can only imagine, starting your own media company, basically doing what the TV station does, but independently.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I consider it luck. We're in an interesting time in media right now where if you read the trades in the papers between media and advertising, there are probably, 3,000 people out of work. You could probably start a network news organization and your own ad firm with just everyone that's been laid off. So, in terms of like starting my company, I've been able to lean on a lot of folks that I have experience with working with, or they've recommended people. And so I have a pretty good roster of DPs, of directors, editors, and I'm all the time also meeting new people now that I'm not kind of in that structured network environment. I've been able to work with some new folks, and I have a good friend, my director friend. Her name is Teen, and we like to say that we're building our own Judd Apatow team. And we've been able to like kind of pull the same team together for a couple of different assignments that we've had, and we've got another couple big ones coming up. And so it's been actually kind of rewarding because I've been able to work with some folks I've always wanted to work with. I've been able to work with some young people, not that I'm that old, but who I think bring new energy and new skills to the team. And it's been really a lot of kind of fun.
Yeah, the media has changed from 10 years ago to right now. Like the connecting and like you said, starting your own company, it's kind of crazy.
100%. I mean, just what you can do now between, I went out with a friend of mine to cover a story, and we did it all with our iPhones. You couldn't have done that 10 years ago.
No.
And so, kind of anybody can really, shoot a story, which doesn't mean that anybody should be shooting a story, but the barriers to entry are so much lower now than when I first started.
Right. And I feel like nowadays we have access to the things that we didn't have access to back then. Like the marketing, the promoting, the advertisements, all that stuff.
Oh, 100%. And the way that brands are partnering with, just independent creators and stuff. I mean, you can really kind of make your own lane. I mean, there's a bit of a danger in that I think you have a lot of people that are calling themselves journalists that aren't journalists. And there's something wrong with that. I don't have like, some people have beef with content creators and I don't, but I just think as a consumer, you have to know what you're watching.
Yeah.
There's people that have certain kind of training or rigor are going to ask different questions than certain people. So you just have to know, what you're watching, where it's coming from, and why you're watching it.
Right. And you gotta get the teaching and the schooling to be a journalist. Like I'm not a journalist, but do media, other stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, I always say like it's not even so much schooling because that sounds so like like out of reach. You know, when I first got in the business, a lot of the talk was like, how do we get folks that are in underrepresented areas to become journalists, and how are we making sure they can afford to? Because it's hard. Most journalists, their first job, they're barely making minimum wage. So you can't do that if you don't come from a family of means. Well, you also need to have people telling stories that are reflective of society. We want people from all parts of walks of life to be telling the stories, you know, of America, of the world. So um, I think that although the barrier to entry is low, like there are courses, there are people you can learn from, and there's also just like a code of ethics that I think, you know, if you follow journalists that you admire, you understand.
Right, good one. In a world filled with constant noise, how do you help people discover and communicate what makes them genuinely unique?
Oh, that's such a great question. Um, I think one thing is you just quiet the noise, right? You have to, and I think we're seeing a turn right now. We're seeing a turn with Gen Z that are kind of putting their phones down. You're seeing people going to dance clubs that don't let you have a phone in the dance club. You're seeing people get back out in the world, right? In terms of finding like your special sauce, I mean, I think one, you have to be comfortable with yourself and know who you are, right? And that doesn't mean that you're perfect. Like we all have strengths, weaknesses, but how do you maximize your strengths, minimize weaknesses, but also work on your weaknesses to turn them into strengths? I think number two, you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. Are you doing it for clicks? Are you doing it because there's some information that you think the people needs to know? Are you doing it because you have an expertise in some sort of something and you want to share that with the world? But I think the days of doing things just to be famous are coming to an end, because I think that
Oh,
people are looking for depth and people are looking for authenticity. And um, I think that's what's going to give you longevity. I look at some folks that are out there that are making much more money than I am. And I think, like, but can you do that in 10 years? Can you do that in 5 years? Now, maybe it doesn't matter because you're going to make everything you can make in 2 years and you're going to be set for life. But I think you really want to think about, you know, what version of yourself, and hopefully it's just an authentic version of yourself that you're putting out there, and is that sustainable?
yeah, that's very important too. I got a couple questions. I got some questions. What's the biggest mistake you see professionals or entrepreneurs make when trying to build their personal brand?
Well, one, and it's not being authentic. Two, over extending yourself. Three, saying that you have an expertise or that you know how to do something that you really don't. I see people
Yes,
online that worked for me. I see their resumes online. I'm like, they didn't do that. I'm like, they're just trying to, like, they're using code words or buzzwords that they think will get them the next job or get them the next client. And it's like, don't promise things that you cannot do, because that's the first way to ruin your own personal brand.
good one. And you starting off at, ABC, and then now you're doing your own thing. What's one thing that you learned that you have to live by every day?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think, and this goes from when I was in regular media and today, is for me, it's I always want to be able to go to bed at night and look in the mirror and be like, I did the best that I could today. I did right by myself and by others, and I didn't compromise any values that I had. And I think if you can do that every day and live by that every day, you're doing pretty good. You know, you're not going to hit 100 every day, and there may be some days that you could have worked a little harder. But I think that for me, it's, you know, waking up in the morning and being like, here's what I have to do today. Here's what I'm trying to do today. And I'm doing that within my own code of ethics. You know, like I'm a super loyal person. I believe that we all succeed when the poor of us and the least of us succeeds. That rise a rising tide lifts all boats. And not everybody thinks like that. And I think that's something that I may have overestimated earlier in my career, that everyone kind of felt the same way that I did. But they don't. And so you got to like live by your own rules. And I think in that, sometimes, whether you believe in God or the universe, that you need patience. Because I do really believe that there are times that, for me, it's God is directing me someplace that maybe I don't necessarily see where he's directing, but he's also protecting me from a lot. And it may be not that, you know, what I'm not getting right now, but I tend to, when you do get it, you're ready for it, and it's the right time, it's the right thing.
Right. And how's that adrenaline, like your nerve system, when you're reporting stories, when you're working and you want to put out something that's like big? Are you full in, or you're like nervous? You got to prep.
Um, oh, that's such a great. I mean, I think you're always nervous, right? But I also think that, that's where your training kicks in. It's similar to being an athlete or being a musician. I've been in the control room for some good things like the Oscars and like Knicks parades and stuff, and I've been in the control room for some really awful moments like 9/11 and some other things. And I think it's always one about, what is your why? For me, the why is always letting the audience know something they need to know, whether that's to entertain them, whether that's to keep them safe, whether that's to give them information about finances, skincare, whatever that is. How are we doing that? And we want to make sure we get it right, right? So yes, it's a competition, and you want to be first, but it's always more important to be right than be first. And also that, even working as an independent contractor, my own business, this is a team sport. Even though you can do a lot on your own, right? You take your phone out, you can interview people on your own, you can edit it, you can post it. It's still a team sport. And so making sure that all the folks around you are aligned, that we're all on the same page, and that we're all encouraging each other, and that we're all backing each other up, making sure, that everything that we're doing is accurate and above board, and we're getting to where we need to get. And we're doing it, while also respecting each other and doing it in as kind a way as possible.
Right. That's very important. And running your own media company, I know it's super busy. Is it just you running it, or you have like a manager, or you have some people helping you out?
I mean, I think the people that you need to have, I have a really good lawyer, I have a really good bookkeeper, and a really good tax accountant. And outside of that, everyone else is freelance people that I bring on. I would hope to someday be, I think for me, I hate invoicing. I hate anything to do with numbers. Uh, it's just not my jam, but thank God I did well in math in school. The first thing when I get super successful is going to be to hire the operations part of the business. But yeah, but I'm also lucky in that I have a really good group of advisors, like I just mentioned, of friends that have their own business and stuff, and we share a lot, and of folks that I'm able to hire when I need to help me get stuff over the finish line.
Good point. And when you're exhausted, you're burnt out doing all this work. How do you balance? Like, do you give yourself a day out the week, 2 days?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I've been trying to figure that out because, as usual, things all hit at the same time. I was shooting a documentary and a branded content series during the Knicks run, and I love the Knicks. I love my Knicks. And it was really hard to balance, getting all the work done and being able to make a game, making sure the crew could see a game, especially as we got into that finals run. But for me, it's all of that. It's Look, some days, especially now, as a business owner, it's you prayed for days like this. So suck it up, figure it out. Like,
Yep.
like when the phone wasn't ringing or when you didn't have anything in your calendar, you were praying, please God, give me some work. You were so you got to get up for it. I think the hardest thing now, not being in a traditional kind of job, so to speak, a 9 to 5, it's allowing myself time off. Because when you're a business owner, it's like it's not like I'm just giving you vacation pay, right? but you do
Right.
need that time to recharge. I'm going to Spain next week for 5 days with some friends, and it took me the longest time to make a decision to actually pull the trigger and go. But it's knowing that that's important and knowing what feeds you. Like for me, I'm an extrovert. I love my people. I try to make Fridays my creative day. So meetings early in the week, but Friday I try to not have a lot of meetings. I try to make that a day where I can sit and think and create and or get myself inspired if there's a doc I need to watch or work on a deck or whatever. I think that's important. I try to make sure that I do one day a week where I'm just not working at all. Sometimes that's not possible if you got to get back to people or whatever. And I think I'm still finding my balance a little bit in that. But it's important, and it's important. Like sometimes for me, just getting out and being social at night, whether it's just watching a game with someone or catching a movie or just meeting someone for a coffee or a quick drink is kind of what you need. I also try not to work every day at home. So whether that's going to a coffee shop or um, I'm a member of Soho House, going there to get some work done, just because I think when you're in the same four walls without anybody, it can get very lonely and very isolating. And so trying to just make sure that you're balancing everything and that you're experiencing the world, because you can sit in this apartment and do decks and write emails and not hear back from anybody for like a week, and that gets a little lonely. So making sure you're getting out there and making sure you're talking to people, seeing what's up with other people, reaching out to friends, just seeing how they're doing, all that stuff.
Yeah. Socialize. That's very important. When you work with leaders, what's the first mindset shift you encourage them to make before focusing on strategy?
For me, the mindset shift is like figuring out the why. Like what is the end outcome that you want? When I talk to certain folks and do media training, it's like, well, why are you doing this? And do you think you're having trouble getting your message out, or what's the thing that you really want to convey? I think once we get to that crux, and then for me, the next thing is, what are you afraid of? Like, let's go through that. Like, what are you afraid that might happen if you fail or if you don't hit the mark? And how bad would that be? And like, let's go through that. Okay, now that we really know that that's not maybe as bad as we thought, because we can come up with like, well, if this happens, then you would do this. Well, it's not that bad. You would do X, you would do Y. Now let's get to the shift of how we're gonna walk in our power, walk in our creativity, walk in our strength, and knowing that we have a good idea, and how do we communicate that to folks?
Good one, good one. And what daily habit has had the greatest impact on your personal growth and professional success?
Eating breakfast. I know that sounds
Very
weird,
important.
but just having fresh foods, excuse me, fruits, vegetables, reading up on like what a good breakfast is for me. I would say that combined with hiring a trainer for working out, which when I kind of was doing like traditional media in my brain, I didn't really have time for, but like making that time, blocking that out on the calendar, having someone just like run me through the paces, lifting this, that, the next, the third, making sure that I'm getting that breakfast in, because the day can go, but I think that has helped a lot. And and then if I can add a third thing, I would say keeping healthy snacks around the house,
That's
because
key.
you start with that sugar and then you get stressed out, and there's nothing to eat, and then you're eating bonbons, and that just doesn't, like, it just makes you feel tired or sluggish. And so and also like just learning my rhythms. Like I'm someone that gets tired in the afternoon, so how do I maximize that time in the mornings? I wake up and I'm ready to go. um, Give myself a break at the right moment in the afternoon, and then go back to work and finish up the day.
That's important. Find your rhythm, like learn your rhythm.
Yeah, like some people are better at night. Some people 12 to 4, they're jamming. Like I hit like 3 o'clock and I just want to take a nap. Like so like there's some days I can't do that, right? There's some days where maybe at 3 o'clock it's good for me to just go for a walk outside, right? Take a call outside. I learned that. Another friend of mine, he takes his calls walking through the streets of Manhattan sometimes. Like if you can do that, like find out what it is. I think especially now when kind of everybody's an independent contractor, you have time to find out how you work best. You don't necessarily have to be behind a desk. You don't necessarily have to be in front of a camera. You don't necessarily have to be at a desk. What are those things that bring out the best in you? What are those things that help you when you're sluggish or down or not feeling it today? Figure out what those are. Is it putting on a music? I have a friend who she does a dance party, and she like puts on a song every day at 3:30 and just dances for 10 minutes, and that's what like gets her going. Like, what are those things that keep you creative and in the right mode to go?
Good one. That's very important. And what's one thing that you haven't done yet with your media company that you want to do?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would love to get involved in the like live broadcasting streaming space for big events, whether that's broadcasting someone's concert, helping them produce it up, an award show, a pre-show for a game, something like that is on the big wish list there.
That's gonna happen. Keep going.
I hope so.
If you could tell your younger self two things, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, get more sleep. And oh god, I kind of have two in my mind, but one is know when it's time to go. Don't hold on to something because you're afraid that there's nothing else you can do, or there's no one else is going to want to hire you, or and the second thing is know your worth.
Very important.
I think there were times when I let other people determine my worth, and that determined how I moved through corporate structure. Um, and I wasn't necessarily listening to the right people, and I wasn't trusting what I knew about myself.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. Like people can make you feel lower than what you really are.
And some people want to do that. Some people want to keep you in the space that you're in because you work really hard. And I think when things don't make sense, they don't make sense. And I think there were times in my career where I'd be like, man, I'm working so hard, and my shows are winning, and I'm not getting the promotion, or I'm not getting the respect that I think. And um, come to find out years later that it was someone was jealous, or someone didn't think I deserved it. But it's never been about the quality of the work, and that's what I think I'm most proud of. Like, no one's ever said to me that the work is bad. It's always been, well, you're so happy, or it wasn't your time yet, or we really needed you in this area. But it's never been about the work. And I think at times I felt like it was about the work, or I let people tell me it was about the work, when every other thing out there was telling me it wasn't about the work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, most definitely. That's a good pointer right there. I got two more. If someone when someone watches or listens today, uh, they want to build credibility, expand their network, and create lasting opportunities. What are these practical steps they should take? What would you tell them?
Well, one, network. And networking isn't just like, hey, I met you at a conference and I sent a thank you email afterwards. It's figuring out what you have in common with that person and being able to continue that conversation when it isn't about asking for anything. So if you meet me and you know that I love the Green Bay Packers, maybe we're talking about media, but maybe you're sending me an article about the Packers, or maybe you're just even like, oh wow, look at that pickup they just made, or something like that. I think that's important. I think we don't talk enough about how people get sponsored. And someone told me this early on in my career. They're a boss, and it was like, look, I want to be able to, when I mention your name, maybe not everybody likes you around the table. But when I mention your name for promotion, try to make sure that nobody has anything negative to say. And that takes a lot of honesty and a lot of like, look, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, right? But how for those people that you may not work, you may not gel with, how can you at least work well with them so they at least respect your work? And I think I see a lot of younger people just being like, well, that person doesn't like me, or that person's mean, so I'm just not going to deal with them. But like, if that person's in a place of power, you've got to figure out what your inroad is with them, right? Otherwise, they're always going to block you. And they're probably looking at you like, well, that person just doesn't respect me. They don't care enough to come in my office and say hi, or and look, you can make an entree and they don't have to accept it, but at least you made the entree. If there's
Yeah.
someone, and then the third thing I would just say is like, make sure that you are well rounded. I said earlier that I don't like math. I don't like math, but when I was running a show that had a $45 million budget, I had to know how to balance that budget. I had to know how to run it. I had to know how to make sure that things were coming in where they needed to come in, and I also had to know how to brag about myself when we did do well. I happen to have a friend that's not in the business, that's a CPA that runs budgets, and literally would sit with her and be like, explain to me how this works. Explain to me what I'm missing. Explain to me what I need to know. Some of that too was stuff that I did working on nonprofits. Like, also find other areas that aren't necessarily what you do that will help you learn about other things that you never know may come into your business, right? It also gives you other people to meet, to help introduce you to other people, to help widen your network. Have as wide a network as you can, because you never know who or what is gonna help you improve.
Right. That's very important. And this was a good episode. Before we go, what's some encouragement or what's some words you would leave for someone that wants to start their own media company, start their own business, or wants to start something? What would you tell them?
I would say, A, just do it. B, look for peers. Everyone's always says to look for a sponsor or a mentor, but it's really about the people that are kind of at the same level that you're at, that as you rise together, that are actually going to help you in the future. The calls I get now are people that I may have worked with 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or someone put my name in a list like, oh my God, I know Kat from 10 years ago or whatever. Those are all my peers, right? Some of them surpassed me, some of them are the same level as I am. That's one thing that I think is really important. And I would say, be loyal, be that person that people can count on. And it will come back to you. Don't worry so much about um, being a huge success right out of the gate. And also run your own race. Run your own race. Know what you want to do. Don't be, you may have a friend who's doing X, or you may look at, let's say Issa Rae, who's done great. Just like run your own race. Because as the great LL Cool J once said, dreams don't have deadlines.
True.
And some of us get places faster, slower, in a different route, but dreams don't have deadlines. So if it's something you really want to do and it's something that's in your heart, something that's calling to you, like, you're going to get there, you're going to figure it out. But dreams don't have deadlines. It's okay.
Yeah, that's a fact. And a lot of people try to give your dream a deadline, like you're too old for this, or yeah, dreams don't have a deadline.
They really
It's a
don't.
good one.
They really don't. Except for maybe if you want to be a professional NBA player, but
Yeah, that's probably like the only one. But
right?
this is a good episode. I appreciate you for taking time coming on the podcast.
Thanks for asking for me.
Absolutely. Maybe we could do a part two. So,
Yeah, whenever you want.
I appreciate it. I'll keep in touch.
Thanks. Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Bye now.
Bye. And that is it for this episode. Talking with Kat. She runs her own media company. And if you have not, what you waiting for? Click the subscribe button. It should be right around there. Click that subscribe button. Leave a comment, like, and also follow me on Spotify, the Rome Show Podcast. I will follow you back. And that is it. I will see y'all next week. The week after that. See y'all next month. More content coming soon. Much love. I appreciate all my new subscribers. I see it. Shout out to all of y'all, and keep it coming. Much love. Go Room Nation, Go Room TV. I'm the host, Go Room, the Room Show podcast, and I'm out. The Global Podcast. Take care, y'all. Peace.